Welcome once again, folks, listeners, to People for People Radio. You're live now with Santos for the next 2 hours. It's a pleasure, as always, to be here on a truth channel, helping folks awaken, ascend, learn, and know the truth that will set you free. So today I have another great YouTuber, truther, friend of mine who is a real great guy, and real as in not phony, because he's a friend who came to visit me in Florida when I was in Miami, drove all the way from Colorado, in fact, and just to see me, and was prepared to do so when I was in California but didn't have a car. Finally got a car and drove all the way out to Miami, and we hung out for about 3 hours, and 3 or 4 hours that day, and with Carl Kalibi, whom I've also had on this show, I think the third or the second episode. So that's interesting that now we should have Jerry DeCamp, my very good friend and YouTuber and truther. Welcome, Jerry.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. How you doing?
Pretty good. I'm in Los Angeles, fly to Mexico tomorrow, probably be there for a couple of weeks, and then go back to Oregon. After Oregon, probably will be, well, no, I'll be coming back to Los Angeles. Got some stuff to do here, a lot of stuff to do here. A lot of good people have come out of the woodwork and come forward to support syncretism. So a lot of doors opening here in Los Angeles. Had a great presentation on the weekend. 60-odd people came with a couple of weeks of advertising.
You killed it on that on the show with Sam Tripoli and Eddie Bravo. You killed it, by the way. That was fantastic. And by the way, not to hurt your feelings or nothing, but I was driving actually from Pennsylvania. I actually drove out. I actually was flown out there, and a friend actually gave me a car. And then I was driving down to my mom and my brother actually live in Palm Bay, where Carl lives as well. And as soon as I saw you put something about Miami, I was all over that. I was like, dude, I got to go down. So I drove a special trip, 4 hours all the way down there and all the way back from Palm Bay just to see you. And also with Carl with a K, met him and so forth. And then I drove that car that I was given, thank you very much, all the way back to Colorado. So it was like I was flown to Pennsylvania, given a car, drove it all the way down to Florida, where my mom and my brother, I haven't seen them in almost 5 years because I moved out to Colorado here in Pueblo. And so when I heard that, I mean, it was a no-brainer. It was great, beautiful to meet you in person. And then also a bonus to meet Carl with a K.
Yeah. And
Carl Calabi. I don't know how to say his last name right. I feel like I don't want to butcher it. So out of respect, I don't try to say it. Out of respect for Carl.
Yeah, I think it's Kalibi. Ich liebe. Love. Liebe in German.
Yeah, well, one day, he keeps telling me when he gets to Denver here, he keeps calling me, and I'm always doing like a home inspection or something. I never have time to go up to Denver and do some pictures of some buildings. But we will. Just keep trying. Persistency pays off, Carl.
Great. So, I've been sharing your material for, I don't know how many years now. So we've known each other since...
Seems like a while.
I think we've known each other since 2011, right?
Yeah, at least. Or, something like that. So that's, 9 years.
All right, so we're going to talk...
I've learned a lot from you, a lot, and I'm grateful for you, by the way. Very appreciative and grateful for you, for your great teachings.
Oh, thank you, and likewise. So we're going to now deal with one of my favorite topics, Tartaria, and this great, pretty much universal, peaceful empire of culture, wisdom. All the churches, well, they weren't churches, let's call them philosophical way.
power stations, in my view. They eventually there were power stations back. Cathode, Cathedral, they were jacked. Again, I believe that they had a free energy system, a very etheric, powerful, palpable field that supported a higher, much greater stature of men / vessel for the spirit to experience. And what I've seen from my research is that, in my view, it's really, really, really simple. From what I've seen is I started looking around at all these amazing architecture of these buildings and houses and castles and everything all over the world. It seems that you could see that they used a red brick architecture a lot of towers and domes, arched columns. Again, it's as if they were setting up the buildings like a circuit board on a computer, if you will.
Yeah.
You see that a lot. Yeah, even Michael Tellinger talks about that back in the day, and that's correct. And there was, like I said, I believe there was a very well established old world order. Perhaps at the end of it, they started calling it a Great Tartary Empire, and in my view, that's where they started going wrong. Start calling it empire, but anyway, there was a very well established, in my view. It's real simple. There was a very well-established old world order, and not even that long ago, in my view, maybe less than 1,000 years ago, something happened. An event, maybe even less than that. I don't know. Again, when they go thousands and millions of years and all that, and they can't prove it, you got to be crazy to believe anything. They can't. How do they know? You just can't know this stuff. Yeah. And in my view, you want to?
No, I haven't finished yet. I just want to say, in this great empire, all the churches, or whatever you want to call them, faiths, philosophical schools, they all practiced their Islam, their Christianity, their Judaism, and they were united in syncretism. I have to get that out.
Oh, sure.
That is my conclusion, because the division that is now corporate 501c3 churches has not been historical at all whatsoever. So it's very important that I get that out first, that all of these churches were united. In other words, you could go to a Christian church, you can go to an Islamic church. So religiously, there was unity. Politically, there was unity. Scientifically, there was free energy, free food, etc. And so this has, as you're going to explain, this has been disturbed. Something happened, and it's not long ago. So let's start with that premise, because people need to know that our history has been rewritten, and we do not know anything. But from the evidence that Jerry and other like-minded, wonderful researchers are going to bring forward, it is clear to see that some devastating thing happened, and that beautiful empire of peace has been destroyed, and now we have all these wars and control systems and a much worse place to live, where everything is you have to pay for, and taxes on top of that. So let's proceed from that premise then.
Exactly. Yes, and exactly. And again, in my view, whatever happened, in my view, it was like a completely different world since they took this grid down. Whatever happened here, this free energy grid, once they took this down, it's in my view, before all of that coming together of all the religions and everything, in my view, everything was set up. These weren't. I mean, they were like power stations, in my view. I mean, this is New World Order, all that, in my view. It was all set up for that purpose intentionally. I don't even know if they had religions. I don't know what they had and all that, because they got wiped out. There's nothing left of anything except for their architecture that you can see how they were. They appeared to have been very much bigger than us because of the doorways and the architecture. They also, it looks like to me, in my view, that there was a downsizing agenda, and to make us into these weaker bodies, or at least the really bigger ones aren't supported anymore with this field or stature. I don't know. But it seems like In my view, the David and Goliath story is not a story. It was an agenda. That's just my view. Because it shows, in my view, it looks like they lived a really long time. When you look at the architecture and the very great detail in there, it's like a world where it was about creating, co-creating and creating detail, very, very creative. And they had the time to do it, it looks like, as well. Maybe they lived a really long time, it looks like. Very well established for thousands of years, very creative. The architecture, very glorious. It's like it glorifies their cells and their creativity, and so forth. But and then it looks like after looking at all these incredible architecture, you can see that there was no separation anywhere all over the world. The exact same architecture, because it was like set up like a grid. You see arched columns, the same arched columns all over the world, the same pyramids all over the world. In fact, in 1909, they discovered mummies and pyramids in the Grand Canyon. Look it up. I did a video on that. Go to my playlist. Go to my YouTube channel, Subphotonic. Go to playlist. Go under melted buildings. Great Tartary Empire, if you want to see how there was like I established that there is clearly a very well-established old world order. It looks like they, had free energy for everybody until the end there. They started calling themselves an empire. And then whatnot. They got tricked. I believe they were naive, probably even. Maybe not even familiar with the concept of lying, for all we know. I'm just kidding. But anyway, now there's a clear new world order. George Bush says there's a new world order. Again, because people who say there's a new world order know that there was an old world order, or you wouldn't say that, because you probably are the ones that took out the old world order, or you wouldn't be calling yourself a new world order. So George Bush knows he's a new world order. There's an old world order they took out, very well established. You can see the brick buildings all over the world, all the same architecture all over the world. There was no separation, zero, none. All very well established, all have evidence of melted buildings, damage. And then in my view, in that video, let me show you the world in my eyes, where I look at the flat plane down on Earth from the hot air balloon view that loiters, because there's no satellites. These views looking around over the world, it looks like a war zone. I mean, it looks like mutually assured destruction all over the world, melted buildings. Anywhere it's not green, it's melted buildings. I thought it was mud flood, but it's more than that. And like when you look at the desert and the buried pyramids, they're buried in whatever turned building into fine grains of sand, matter. Something turned all that whole area of North America into fine grains of sand. There's big black scorch marks, melted buildings flown and liquid building flown about everywhere. You see that it's been like super duper dried out into fine, tiny grain pieces of sand. What can break apart matter like that? And then you see it's buried in that sand. There was the whole area is buried in nothing but bits of tiny pieces of building. And then all over the world, everywhere, you see it's just damage. What they're calling volcanoes, it looks to me like melted buildings, and there's a big hole, and it's still on fire from whatever put the hole there. I mean, it's damage everywhere, all over the world. It's like a war zone. That's what I see, is nothing but destruction everywhere, melted buildings. I thought it was mud. It's like something melted these buildings. Like, you can't believe the power. You cannot reproduce this. You are foolish if you think you can reproduce this event that happened, that did this. You don't have the capability. When you see the damage, when I look at this damage all over the world, things blasted apart, buildings melted, blocks cooked together, small blocks, bricks into big blocks. Again, debunking this crazy idea of, again, all this stuff that they attribute to ancient Egyptians was the Tartarian Empire. Again, pyramids all over the world. It's not just in Egypt. Again, the same in China with the Tartarian people. It's the same. Those are Tartarians. None of that is ancient Egypt in my view. It's all old world order Tartarian. It's the same over here. You see the exact same thing in the Grand Canyon. exact same architecture, found the exact same mummies, exact same pyramids, because it's all the same all over the world. There was no separation at all, zero. Very well established. One world, old world order for the longest time. Something happened not even that long ago, changed everything, and it's a boom, a reset, a start over. New world order seems aware of it, taking advantage of every little thing at every little chance. None of this stuff was, all this architecture here, everywhere that you see in the U.S., railroads, everything, all that was already here. Nobody built it. It was from the old world. It was left over. After this event, all these buildings were emptied like a ghost town everywhere. All this incredible, and a lot of it, we have pockets of survival where nothing even happened to some of these buildings. It's like they scot-free, probably has a lot of the inside that's not messed up. When you see all these caves underwater, that's just melted building that's been flooded. Caves are pretty much mostly melted buildings on the inside. It looks like a cave now after the melting. Again, all this Egyptian stuff, ancient Egypt, it's all attributed to Egypt. It's nonsense. It's all Tatarian. And again, this idea that they quarried big blocks. When you see, they show you these really crazy sized blocks. That's crazy. Nobody got that from a quarry. Nobody built with blocks like that. That would be impossible. The reason it sounds retarded and crazy is because it is. And what I see from the evidence over and over again, just after thousands and thousands and thousands of buildings, going over these different buildings and the damage, you start to see a weird rock block forming phenomenon that from this heat field that after it takes this red brick and gets it to a certain melting point, and it starts to become very malleable, pliable, manageable. At that point, very liquid, viscous, means it can flow now. It's from a solid to a liquid. Now it's viscous, liquid. It can flow. Once it does that, obviously, now it's heavier than the air now. It comes apart. You get that. But anyway, when it's melting these things together at a certain point, it becomes very manageable. It seems to conform to a very blocky field, a hot heat field grid that appears to have heated it up in the first place. Either way, you can see it many times cooking the small bricks and stones and melting them together, and then bam, it forms a friggin' block. And they think that they built like this. These megalithic blocks like that, with all that, what they're doing is when they become viscous, they start sinking down. The megalithic stones start getting heavy and sink down. So then they think they built them like that when they were formed like that from the event. Even in the History Channel, which came up to the same, a lot of the same conclusions as me, separately, independently, just saw the show the other day. They're talking about in Machu Picchu, the wall there, they're like, ancient advanced civilization, very advanced technology, something, but he goes from something, it looks like it's melted lava here, something damaged this, perhaps a war. Then he goes full retard and goes, maybe they were using this advanced technology to put this wall together. It looks like it's building a wall with heat and all that, which is right. It is, but it's not intentional. It's not technology, because if it was intentional, why would the rest of the building be blasted to nothing? You know, and it's an attack. So you can see it, this forming. They even agree, but they got it wrong there. It's non-intentional building the blocks and the walls. It's from the heat field that's doing it, in my view. That debunks the ancient, using big blocks in a quarry. No, they were clearly all red brick. And then a Tartarian, if it's old red brick, they'll take this new facing, external facing or finish, and they'll in the same way that we would like have molds to make concrete blocks. Well, they have these molds with arts in them, artistic designs. So when the concrete's wet, you pour it in there. It conforms to the design. Nobody carved anything. It just conforms to the design. You make them over and over. They fit. And in my view, it looks like they even reinforce the old red brick, this new facing that they put on that gets messed up as well. So you see that small bricks being cooked into big blocks, and they think they're using big blocks or these megalithic stones or blocks when they're being, that's from the event. Even when I'm seeing these buildings that are all melted and the inside, I can show you many buildings where the inside of some of these buildings, it's all crystal. All blue crystal, perfect crystal. That's how crystal was formed. At least in those cases, you see it. And again, anyway, you want to talk? You sounded like you wanted to say something. I've been rambling.
No, that's good. I'm enjoying it because you get very enthusiastic like I do. I just get exuberant when the truth is the truth.
God.
So plain to see. My mother's a very intelligent woman. When she came out to Australia in '56, she immediately pointed out or could see that Australia was a very, very developed country. What she used to say was, how come the buildings look as old as the ones in Italy? And how come every single part of Australia is owned by someone and there are fences and paddocks everywhere and it's only 150 years old? And she used to say this all the time, almost ad nauseum. It was like it kind of did register with me because I could see what she was saying, but I wasn't really as concerned about it because, well, I thought, I guess that, we sent a lot of convicts over there and and they were busy, so I thought, yeah, well, it had to be done because that's how history is. It's 150 years old and yet we've got Georgian, Edwardian, Victorian, Roman, Grecian, Indian style architecture and they all don't look new. The cathedrals look old, and even I remember even in the 1970s that some of these cathedrals were being touched up and they had to be maintenance. So they would put scaffolding around and cover them all and do this maintenance. Why would you need maintenance on a cathedral that's built with stone? The Egyptian pyramids have been there for thousands and thousands and thousands of years and they're still there intact and didn't need any maintenance. I mean,
again, I don't even know. I mean, I believe that, I don't know how long they were there, but the way they're blocks now, that's damaged. When you're seeing they look old, they're really damaged from this event. Again,
I know.
They come along with this carbon dating idea, which is all debunked, and it's ridiculous because they carbon date things that are alive 8,000 years old, and then right next to the thing, it'll be 1,000,000 years old, and this is only 1,000 years old. Again, it doesn't work. You can't know anything that happened thousands of years ago or millions of years ago. And when they say you do, they do, and you buy it, I don't know what to tell you. You can't buy it. How? You can't know. All this, it's like Will Shatner said. How do they know? You can't know this stuff. These black holes in space that doesn't even exist. How do you know? You can't prove anything when they say thousands of years ago. Were you there? Then how do you know? You can't know all this stuff. Everything is such a lie. Everything you get is such a lie. How I look at history, I take it all out immediately. Everything I've been taught, throw that right in the trash. It's got to go immediately. Everything they said is all a lie. It has zero credibility. It's gone. I just see a very well-established old world order. You can see that. It was taken out. New World Order comes in, parasitic. You got to work 40 hours a week. And again, this carbon dating situation here, again, what they're doing here, the reason they're dating these buildings that are damaged, older, is because more of the carbon's been cooked out, damaged, heated out, burned out, cooked out. Heat cooks out all moisture. It makes it brittle, breaks apart, cracks. Again, what they're calling older is just buildings more damaged. Again, the carbon, it has less carbon in it because it's been cooked out. It dates older. It has nothing to do. It just means how old it is. They're all probably very the same everywhere, very similar in age and then they're all, some's damaged more than others, and they're called, oh, that's older because it's look older. No, it's damaged more in my view. This is all my view. From my research. And so what they're calling anything older, and it's dating older, carbon dating older, and it's been cooked out. It's all because it's been damaged more, exploded more compared to certain areas. For whatever reason, some areas didn't get hit as hard or melted. Again, there's tons of buildings, brick buildings that are fine and didn't get melted. But again, on the other hand, everywhere I look now, I see red brick buildings with heat, hot scorch marks, black marks, melted bricks, hot at the bottom a lot. For some reason, a lot of this heat was coming up from the bottom. Go to my playlist, Melted Buildings and the Lost Highly Advanced Tertarian Empire, Civilization. And once you start at that 1, 2, 3, there's 50 videos at least now on all these melted buildings that I go through and show and come to this conclusion. It's not something that, again, it's just through observation. After looking at tons of research, you see these little phenomenons and so forth, and you get an idea what's going on. It's not something I came up with. It's just it's there. It's what you can see it. A lot of my subscribers see everything I'm seeing identically. We talk about it a lot. Everything I'm talking about and see, all my subscribers are down with me. I told them, you need to be out there. If you can do a video, make video. It's our only hope. If you can be out there and make a video, help us. Go out there and get pictures of all these buildings melted. You'll see damage everywhere after you watch my videos. Excuse me. After you go through, like there's another playlist, The Great Tartary Empire. After you go through that and then melted buildings, if you go through all those videos right there, you'll see everything I'm saying and talking about. But you won't be able to look at the world the same. Everywhere you look, it'll be different now. You can't help it. Yeah, when you see these towers to the domes, by the way, when you see all these towers and domes and architecture of this beautiful old world compared to today, it's ridiculous when you look at these retarded buildings, how dumb and ugly they look compared to the glorious old world order buildings and architecture and how they did things. And again, bar none, pretty much how they built, for whatever reason, it might have to do with the grid. It was red brick, and then if it wasn't, it was because it's getting covered up by this new facing, this new, it's simple, it's just molds. You just take concrete, pour it in mold, bam, put it on piece by piece. It also looks like it reinforces the old brick as well. It's incredible. It's just incredible. I'm going to take a break.
Look, camera. I've been treated to some great tours of Los Angeles and went past City Hall yesterday. Oh, what a pyramid that one is! And I'm seeing the two worlds: Tartaria, which is still there, it's here, and the New World. And you see all these buildings with steel and glass, and they look impressive. But you can just get a feel of their energy. It's cold. It's commercial. It's
profit geared.
And then you see these overshadowed, more smaller but very impressive old Tartarian buildings, and you get this motherly warmth coming from them. Then they just talk to you. They have character. They have a soul.
And energy.
Even though they've tried to mutilate these and vandalize these buildings.
I hate that.
Oh, yeah. They are still beautiful. They're
and I hate when they try to take credit for them, too, because it's all inherited. You didn't build anything. They didn't build it. It's all inherited. The Tartars built this. Tartary Empire. It's all from the old world. All the railroad tracks, all the infrastructure. It's incredible how the New World Order's come along and made everything, put a dollar sign on everything. Slavery system. It's incredible. Yep. All this free land everywhere, all over the world. When I'm driving, like when you're driving, get on a highway and drive. Like if you got to go to another state or city, there is nothing. I mean, you look around, there is nothing anywhere. You would think you're on a deserted island until you get to another city, and then it's like, what the elbow to elbow? Get out of the way. You can't, and then you can see you just walked into a prison. There's video cameras everywhere now. There's cops everywhere now telling you what to do. It's just a whole nother world when you're rolling up in these cities. But when you're out and you're like, wow, yeah, it's like overpopulated. When you're in the city, you're like, God dang, it's populated. It's elbow to elbow. You leave a city and go drive around. You're like, where'd everybody go? All this land, we should be able to use it. Why can't we use the land? How in the world are we not able to use the land? How is it that some people are allowed to use certain areas of lands and we can't? Anywhere. There's all this open land we could be using. How is there homeless people? How is there people going hungry when all this trash is getting thrown away? It's crazy. It's too much. It's not my kind of world I want to live in. I'll tell you that. It's not the kind of world I want to live in, where
Well,
somebody goes hungry.
we are changing that, Jerry. I can see it in real time. The
Yep.
the veil of delusion is just coming down, and I can see these scary entities who tried to establish a new world order of oppression and total control. I can see them running for the rocks, as it says in the gospel. In that day, when they see the light of the Lord coming, they will hide under the crags and in the caves and pray to the heavens that the rocks will cover them from the fury and the wrath of the anger of the truthful light that is coming upon the world. And then another scripture says, nothing that has been covered over will be uncovered in that day. We are living such a glorious moment. Every day I turn on my computer, I get about 20 great websites and videos to research of truth coming out. And no matter how hard the Chinese and Israel are trying to oppress the truth, it just gets more and more and more deadly for them. I think it's only a matter of months, man, before the whole thing's just totally busted. Totally. I hope so. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like it's just like I don't know. You see it. So it's kind of discouraging, but you still got to do it. You just have to hope. I don't know if it's going to bust open, man. I don't know what they really seem to have a grip on us with this. They're so tricked. These people with they're heart set on government. I mean, I don't know. It's just. What was I going to say? God, I hate that when I was going to say something and I forgot what I was going to say. I always know what I want to say when you're talking and I forget when it's my turn. But there was something you were saying and I was like, oh, I want to jump in there.
Well, yeah. It makes me positive and because the battle is still on. It hasn't been lost because more and more videos keep coming out. The more they try to suppress it and hide it, the internet has come along and really been a tool in our advantage. And as hard as they try to take it over and control it, I think the knowledge out there is too abundant. And even people who are really locked into this system, they are also questioning things. You know, they've got their questions. No one is satisfied that they understand the knowledge that they have, even though they protect it. You know, they'll defend it to the death, but they still don't understand it, you know. And so it's pretty much the way they've been indoctrinated, but they also are asking their questions, and it's only a matter of time before some product will get their attention and help them and bless them, like what happened to us. You know, that's what happened to us. We were awoken by some truths, and now here we are.
Let me ask you something. Has any of my flat Earth videos ever helped you?
Oh yeah. Your extensive videos have been great, and I used to post them all. Remember back in the day,
absolutely.
2015, 2016.
It's like beating a dead horse, though. No, I'm just kidding. I hate to put it like that. It sounds horrible. But I've done so many. I have 184 Flat Earth Truth Alert videos and over 500 some videos. But I used to, again, another thing that I would have, I was doing in mistake is I have to admit when I make a mistake, I have to admit it and then move on. Is at first, a lot of these buildings, I couldn't figure out they were buildings. And a lot of them look like tree stumps and titans, to be fair. And again, but when you look, after doing this for a long time, just studying and really contemplating and meditating, you realize that you see it more and more. When I was looking at it, I'm like, dang, that's not a Titan. That's a building. I'm like, I can't believe I was calling that a Titan. I'm like, you can see the melting there. I even see brick there. Of course, Roger would call that blood, but you know what I'm saying? So in my view, I made a lot of mistakes there calling, and I had over 800 something videos, and then YouTube deleted a lot of my videos. Just, by the way, we deleted these videos. Whoa. You know what I mean? And then, so I had over 800 something videos, okay? on, because of the Titans and the tree stones, because I thought these things, and nobody was wrong. We were just trying to figure out what's going on here. What are we seeing? There's something going on. This has to be explained. Just like the surface of the moon, when you look at all the damage on it, that has to be explained to me. That big damage, what they're calling the Milky Way galaxy, that big rift, that crack in the dome or firmament, whatever you want to call it, that needs to be explained. When I see melting on all these buildings, and then some of the buildings are torn like there's rock everywhere and the bits and pieces, and then buildings turned into deserts, and you see all these scorch marks and blasts and meltings, and what can melt buildings like this? You can't, in your wildest dreams, try to do this yourself. Replicate the situation. There's no way. We don't have the capability, in my view, when you see the way these buildings melted like that, man. And then it was so hot. Again, it's forming into blocks, conforming to the grid, because now it's viscous and pliable. I mean, that was hot. How would we? And then in my last few videos, you see where the heat grid kind of reveals itself by the way it leaves these grid lines in these buildings and stones after they melt it. It's wild. You got to go through the playlist and watch it. You can't just, anyone listening to me now, it sounds crazier than crazy because you haven't been there and done the research. You haven't looked at thousands and thousands of pictures of buildings. You haven't seen the phenomenon yourself. You have to do the research. Again, it's hard to get people to watch these videos, but they're really important, in my view. If History Channel's sitting there coming up with some ridiculous quarry blocks, huge, that they built the pyramids and it wasn't even the Egyptians in the first place, all those blocks are a result because they got blasted to bits. Okay, that's all damage. I mean, they got cooked into blocks. I mean, that's what you can see. All that was red brick, like brand new. It was like brand new red brick. Look at it now. There's huge blocks. They're gigantic. They're huge. You would never be able to build like that. The reason you wonder, how could you build like that with those huge, is because they didn't build like that. You would never build like that. Nobody would ever build like that, especially a very smart, highly advanced civilization. You would never need to use big blocks like that. Nobody would ever build like that, ever. It's ridiculous. You would have to be a Tetris god to put these megalithic stones together when you see how they just sank when they became viscous. They sank down into each other, and there's all these there's no way you would be able to put these together with all these different patterns. Like, you would have to be a Tetris god. It's funny. But you only come to this conclusion if you've really done a lot of research. And I think it's really important because if we need to get an accurate, again, everything that they've told us, we came from an ape, evolution, big bang, bang, flying through space, accident. You're nothing. There's billions of stars out there, billions of planets, billions of aliens. You're nothing. They're watching you right now. You just don't know it. Again, they try to make you into this very tiny, insignificant nothing. So you think you're a nothing. You're not going to talk. You're not going to put in your input. You're nobody. Wait, I'm not going to say nothing. I'm nobody. I'm not going to say anything. When you're everybody, everything you say is not insignificant. It's the opposite. But I'm going to take a break and let you roll. My throat's dried up or something.
Yeah. So, all of these stories that never made sense when you read and study history, like, why would the Arabic people conquering Egypt, why would they deface the pyramids and use the casing stones to build other temples and mosques, etc.? Because they needed the rocks. It just doesn't make sense. What happened, rather, is, and there's a good Australian researcher, Tony Bushby, and he speaks about how only in the 1800s did they dismantle the pyramids. And there was a pyramid there a fourth pyramid at the Giza Plateau that was totally and utterly dismantled all the way down to the bottom. The other, Tony Bushby was great. I read a lot of his stuff. Man, that guy's a legendary book writer, and I've got all of his books and read them all and studied them and learnt a lot from him. But that opened my eyes as well. But back then, early 2000s, I still didn't have any idea of Tartaria or anything like that. But I remember clearly as a young teenager going to Melbourne, going to Sydney, and marvelling in the 70s at the beautiful buildings. I love buildings. I love architecture.
I know you do. We were looking at them in Miami there.
I know. Yeah, for sure.
We were pointing them out. You were pointing them out like crazy. It was great.
Yeah.
You were killing it.
Mm-hmm. They're all over the place. And like a beautiful woman, I enjoy looking at beauty, or even a beautiful animal or a beautiful mountain or, I love
that was great. You're killing it.
Built animals, buildings, etc.
Beautiful German Shepherd. A beautiful horse.
Yes, exactly. Horses are my favorite animal. Just love appreciating them.
Cat, lions, man, they're beautiful. Again, exactly. I absolutely, I'm picking up what you're laying down.
Yeah, like if a Ferrari drives by, I have to look. Now that's not desire. That's appreciation.
Right. Sure.
If a good woman walks past, because they're so rare, I'm going to take a second look. I don't desire her.
Yeah, I'm not lusting. I'm just admiring.
So this is my analogy with buildings. It's a compelling thing for me. And I remember walking through the streets there of Melbourne and marveling because you'd see the little placards describing how the history of the building, and they would say, this beautiful bluestone building here in Melbourne, the rock was cut from Ballarat. We had a mine there, and all the stones were cut, hewn, and polished and brought to Melbourne, and we built the General Post Office, and we built the Cathedral of St. Paul's, and St. Paul's actually is a beautiful, check it out, punch it into Google, St. Paul's Cathedral. It's made of bluestone, and it's got all the griffins and goblins and...
Thank you. I will do that.
Griffins on top looking down and all the demons, and it's incredible. And you can see that this building is clearly... Oh, actually, hang on, it's St. Paul's... St. Peter's is made of sandstone. That's the... wait a minute. St. Peter's is the Catholic one. St. Paul's on Flinders Street, that is the Protestant one. But they're both the two main cathedrals in Melbourne. I used to take my son there when he was a little boy, and we used to marvel at the architecture. And looking at those placards now and thinking about them, what a load of rubbish.
Thank you for that.
On a horse and cart, they would transport these megalithic stones to build these buildings. I think not.
Double face palm. Double face palm, because of course not. Same with the again. Did you see that one incredible meme? I'm gonna put it in. Oh my! Just keep pounding this meme. It's the meme of they were showing this glorious, huge, incredible old world order Tartary building, claiming they built it in 1875 or 76, whatever it was, the exact date, claiming they built it in that time for a post office with only like 2,700 people, and they built a post office for only 2,700 people in 1875. That glorious for that, when under the meme there's a picture of a 2009 post office. It's about this big for 235,000 people, a hole in the wall. Okay, so and they built. That's what a real post office looks like. Okay, so the narrative is ridiculous that they would build this building for a post office for 2,700 people, when you break it down. It's just ridiculous. It's hilarious. It's absurd. Again, they take credit for all these. Again, like when you look at the buildings, and again, when you hear the word sandstone, again, that's code for melted, messed up building. Red brick turned to stone. Okay, when the buildings cried and melted to stone from a worldwide heat event, and that's what you see everywhere, all over the world, is these damage and this event, and then it looks like it got flooded everywhere. Again, you know that castle, Coral Castle in Florida, that guy took credit for. Again, this thing was blasted, folks. Look at that thing. It's blasted from an event. It's not built out of coral. It was blasted to that. The guy didn't build that. They're wondering, how did he build that? No, he inherited it. Everything here, all the infrastructure. And again, if it looks like stone and it looks old, it's because it's blasted. It's damaged. Again, if it's got blocks, like the pyramids, that was all red brick. Now it's block. Again, we don't know how, again, yeah, it was probably thousands of years old. The Tatarians probably had it going for thousands of years. And again, less than 1,000 years ago, maybe even half of that, bam, this event happened, a fresh, clean slate. They came in, took advantage real fast, called themselves the New World Order. Only would you call yourself that if you knew that you wiped out the old one? Clearly, and it's a new parasitic slave system there, where they clearly have turned the grid around to feeding and harvesting our energy, or energy and motion. When you break down the word emotion, it's short for energy and motion. So there's clearly some type of, everything is set up with this like unnecessary suffering, man. It's just so unnecessary. Like war and fear and all this. It's the news. It's like they want this really for you to be afraid of everybody else. Don't trust anybody. Don't talk to strangers. Yeah. It's set up really different compared to the old world order. Look at the architecture difference compared to the glorious old world order, where they would have all these incredible molds and facings. You see them damaged by this event. Even it's like we're living right where they used to live. I mean, and in my view, there was probably at least an even mix of the giant size Tatarians and the smaller Tatarians. I believe there was like really, really small, large, really large. I believe you had it all. I believe when you see these really old Tatarian statues, it looks like it was really normal to see a dude with a horse head, or I don't know. It just seemed like there was no division from animals and humans back then. It just seems really weird. You see these griffins, it seems real normal that these creatures, there was like, I guess, what do they call it? Game of Thrones? Is that what they use? Style, where you see all these different beings, and just, it was everything. Again, if you were a spirit, you didn't really care. You wanted any type of vessel to experience the physical world back then before it was hijacked, in my view. I believe now we're just like on this, we're like being recycled like batteries in the Matrix. You just get your memory wiped. They put you back in a new body. Good luck. Try to start over and figure this stuff out, if you will. It looks like, you're getting recycled. We're getting recycled right now. We forget. It's like the astral plane. Maybe it's a holding plane, and they just put you back into another body and use you like a battery. It's like they really like you to have this concept of human sacrifice and wars and fear, and a lot of these things you don't need, like homelessness and suffering. And it's like we have the technology and the money, or whatever you want to call it, resources, excuse me. We have the technology, the resources, but we don't have the most important thing, the intelligence that matters, the inclination to never let your fellow man suffer. Why would you? Even the most horrible, horrible species don't let their own kind go homeless and hungry and suffer, you would think. But we're in a very different dog eat dog world. Again, now you eat other beings. When I don't believe they did that. Why would you need, who wants to live in a world where they eat other beings, man? I know I don't. I don't want to live in a world where something's going to eat you or you're going to eat something else and everything's eating everything. That's not the kind of world you want to live in.
I agree. Absolutely. Nourishment is, food is supposed to be something which
I believe we're animals too. So, I mean, you're eating yourself. So I believe we come in as and experience animals. I don't think it's any different than a human vessel, except for the level of awareness, in my view.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So nourishment should be something, food and eating should be healing, healthy, etc. Why are people looking so sick? They don't look good.
I'm out of shape right now. Really, I'm out of shape. So,
Well,
I'm normally when I was younger, boy, I never would be out of shape. I always made sure I looked good. But
each one of us.
I'm getting older. I'm almost 50. I'm 49. So you have to use your energy wisely now. I'm just kidding. I do.
Yeah. So we're all struggling in that department. I mean, no one's perfectly healthy, but it's obvious that the diet is wrong. It's not right. The human diet has been confused because really we just eat indiscriminately. We eat according to the diets of all the other animals as well. We don't differentiate and say, well, this is the human diet. There's no such thing in the conventional world. Whereas the philosopher, yes, there is. The philosopher stressed that a plant-based diet is for humans. In fact, I call it the Garden of Eden diet. When people say, oh, well, what diet are you on? If you're not eating animals. And I say the one that enabled humans to
light
live.
Diet. We're dense light.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you sun gaze too.
Yep. The one that enabled people to live for 1,000 years, called the vegetarian diet. Adam and Eve did not eat animals. Not that they're literal. I'm not saying that because this is
literary.
Yeah, this is how people think. It's what it's telling you is it's encoding literary truths. In other words, there was a time when the world was only sustaining themselves on plants and living longer. Hence, this is how all of these guru and aesthetics that go into caves and live on very, very little survive. Sure. And in the scripture, Jesus says, my food is not of this world. My food is to do the will of my Father. So once you have a real true purpose of truth-telling and truth-seeking, then things start to change and your nourishment comes from a higher frequency. Some people are subsisting on breath alone. There's plenty of guys out there who are reliable and truthful and honest people who are liquidarians, breatharians, etc. So it can be done. It's only a matter of working on it. So, yeah, this post-Tartarian world, Jerry, it has really done a number on us. In every way, the truth has been inverted, the truth about our diet, the truth about our creator, the earth, the cosmology, the world we live in, everything's been inverted. So I feel privileged to be able to be in the group of, or the tribe, or the community of truth tellers that want nothing more than just the truth and for everybody to prosper. Everyone.
We're the tribe of light.
The tribe of light. There you go. I like that. I really like that. The tribe of light. That's who we are.
The tribe of light. Yep.
Light bearers.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. I say unconditional oneness, unconditional equalness, and unconditional truthfulness.
Yeah, for sure. Love it. Love it. So just a few closing thoughts before the break, and then we'll go into the second hour. And I think we're going to be having a look at some questions. I'm sure you've provoked a few questions there.
I like the way you put that.
Mm-hmm.
Instigated. I've instigated some questions.
Oh, look, there's some great questions, actually. Vanessa's usually paying a lot of attention and has some beauties. There's one about, I'd like to talk about the coronavirus nonsense. Neutrons, protons, and electrons. I think this is a one from last week as well. So let's have a look at those. I suppose this is a good time now to go to a break, and I'm going to get a tea and back in a few minutes. So if Gary's out there, let's do that, and tea break, bathroom break, and we'll come back and address these questions as well. Thank you, Gary.
Hello, folks. This is Jordan Maxwell. It's a pleasure, again, to be able to talk with you, and I've been trying to wake people up to the facts of life that's going on the earth today. And this is what I'm known for. This is what I love doing, is trying to teach people and educate them. I have a piece of knowledge that you need to know about. There is a radio operation going on called People for People Radio, and I am delighted that I have been able to be on the People for People Radio, and I want to invite all of you to go to People for People Radio. Go on the web and find it and follow all the programs on People to People Radio. Fascinating stuff, I tell you. And thank you for hearing me. Bye-bye.
Hello, I am Lyra Angel from the World Healers Group. We have a show airing on Sunday, 6 p.m. UK time, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Please join us as we cover topics as diverse as healing, consciousness, frequency. We are a team of healers. We offer healings, online meditations. We offer teachings.
Hi, this is Lizzie with Love Bubble, sharing my journey and speaking of healing energies, spirituality and awareness, bringing to the table insights of whom we truly are. Lizzie Love Bubble, 11 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, every Monday on peopleforpeople.ning.com. Be with us every Monday. See you there.
People for People Radio are proud to announce a new weekly Wednesday show.
Hi folks, this is Santos. I'm happy to announce that I'll be doing a regular weekly residency show on People for People Radio. And that will be weekly 9 p.m. UK time, 1 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Central and 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I hope to catch you there. Very happy to announce that Syncretism will have a residency, and looking forward to sharing with you. Thank you for now. right, dear one, we're back again on People for People Radio. Be sure to support, join, share, subscribe, help, donate, and be sure to stay tuned every week, especially for the Syncretism Hour. But there are many other great presenters on here. And this has been a platform that I was involved with many years ago, back in 2011 and 12 as well, when it was Scottish Sovereigns. And so I'm very happy to be a part of it again. And always looking for great guests to come on here and make this a platform for truth and for sharing and to grow it. So appreciate your support, folks, and your listenership. Alrighty, so Jerry, we had a very interesting first part. Lots of talk about how things have gone down in history. It's very, very sad, really, but it's done. And now we have a chance to change all that and, you know, bring about some understanding and clarity and change that frequency, and probably, well, not probably, we will, you know, be able to restore balance and harmony and truth to this beautiful plane that we live on. It's a marvel. So I'm really happy that to have you, and because of your great work. You've done so many hours, lots of photos that you've dug up in your beautiful videos. And you're very, very passionate, very expressive, and you don't seem to, you know, relent. You're always, from start to finish on your videos, there's a lot of zeal. You know, you can feel it burning, that martial Scorpio energy of yours. Well, Libra. Yes, I know you're Libran, but I've seen your chart, and you've got a lot of martial.
Oh, yeah.
Scorpio energy, so that's coming out, and it's in the red hair as well. I have to point that out. But yeah, appreciate that, Jerry. Now, what do you think of this? I'd like to say something about the question about the coronavirus nonsense. What do you think's going on there? But first of all, when you die, it's said that Kronos, the Grim Reaper, old man time, comes along. Well, it's funny that when you die, you are checked out by a coroner. Will that be the same Kronos that takes you away? So what's this coronavirus all about? I've got my suspicions. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds very, planned and rolled out, you know? Right? Isn't it The Simpsons? Didn't The Simpsons predict this as well, right?
Absolutely. The name
yeah, you know.
The cheek of them. The cheek of them to call it coronavirus. In other words, Kronos is back, Satan, and time's up. This is the virus.
Just like if we're the stars, it's also we're the rats, because it's an anagram for rats in a cage. But Kronos, Saturn, time, Grim Reaper. It seems like we've been put also with, again, I have a playlist that, I don't know for sure, but maybe the moon was the sun and it got damaged, and now it's putting out a deteriorating, put us on this like death cycle, if you will, where we deteriorate now and then before this. Again, what you see is what if the moon was the sun, and a lot of ancient myth culture sometimes backs it up. Anyway, imagine if the moon has been damaged and it was the sun, and say whatever short-circuited it or damaged it or whatever happened, it left all those marks on the scorch marks on the surface of the moon. Whatever happened, initially it looks like something put out a lot of heat and it melted things, but yet then all of a sudden there's a huge lack of heat. Like if it was the sun and now it's not putting out that energy anymore, whatever was melting would freeze. And I see these melting buildings where the building's melting and then it's frozen in time. It's absolutely rock now. frozen back to hard rock. Like all of a sudden, if it was something hit the sun, and it's the moon now all that energy it was putting out, it stopped putting it out. It's malfunctioned now. It's not a sun anymore. It's putting out a deteriorating frequency now that puts you on a death cycle maybe. Who knows? Either way, it looks malfunctioned. It looks messed up. There's scorch marks all over the surface of it. It's not right. It doesn't look right. It looks malfunctioned. So when you see that, it only stands to reason that it's putting out a malfunction frequency. It stands for reason. I have no, it's a very assuming. I'm assuming. It's an assumption. But whatever. There's a lot of things to back it up on the playlist with the videos and the ancient cultures. So if you want to look at that also playlist that goes, the moon was a malfunctioned sun, you can check out that playlist as well, where where they talk about it a lot. And that's the only thing to me that can explain when I see the buildings melting, and then all of a sudden you see all these things like something stopped the melting. It's all of a sudden it frozen in time. In order for us, because of that now, we can see that it was melting though. So it's like that really helped us out, if you will.
Yeah, well, the moon, you know how guys like David Icke say that it's was put there and it's like a satellite of Earth, and it is watching over us and
part of the electromagnetic. It's electromagnetic.
Mm-hmm.
It's everything's electromagnetic.
Yep. So when you look at the words like monster, moon star, demon, deity of the moon, monitor. That's one of my favourite words. Sure, the moon's monitoring us. Moon Taurus. It is a toroidal field, and it is the moon, and it is monitoring us.
It just looks damaged to me. Something doesn't look right.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's been attacked, a la Hillary Clinton and something. A la Hillary Clinton and her quotes, where she says, we have this glass ceiling that we are trying to break through, and thanks to you, we're nearly going to achieve it because there has many cracks in it. Well, this is the thing that all these rockets that they're shooting out into the firmament, they're actually scarring it, and I think the moon is a reflection of that, of the all the damage that has been inflicted on the firmament somehow.
Yeah, but bam, right there.
Mm-hmm. But going back to the virus, I've got my suspicions that it could be the implementation of 5G, and they are starting to radiate and zap all the people who they want to get rid of first.
And they need an explanation. That's their explanation. Right. Boom. That's the cover under the guise of coronavirus.
Yeah, Satan's virus, the coroner. Kronos, exactly. The Grim Reaper. Time's up. And so Satan's starting to claim his little dupes now, or whatever. And so I don't even think it is viral, or the viruses don't exist for a start. That's been disproven many times. But, yeah, it could be a frequency, could be... what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they're rolling out that 5G a lot lately, and it looks to me like what they're really going to do, bare minimum with all the frequencies from the 5G, bare minimum, in my view, is sure, they're going to try to control behavior. But obviously, they're going to, maybe they can make a bunch of people with this behavior whack themselves. And next thing you know, they're going to be like, oh, we can't explain all these suicides. You know what I mean? I don't want to know why they're killing themselves. They just got whacked with a bunch of 5G that altered their behaviors and made them kill themselves. Oh, no, it's just a coronavirus. It's just a coronavirus. It's not the 5G. But everything is frequency, folks. I mean, this is not good. Hello?
Oh, I had mute. I was just saying. Yeah, I was mute. Yeah, well, that's what I think too. So let's be observant, not jump to any conclusions, but, you've always got to be prepared mentally and expect them to be tricky. They'll tell you, for instance, the Spanish flu that killed 20 million people, I mean, they patented that, and there's a patent for the Spanish flu. So AIDS, Ebola, the coronavirus. You can check it. They've been patented. So what does that tell you? Some entities are doing this to other people, whether it is a virus or whatever the hell it is. You can rest assured that it's not just happening organically. So that's the main thing. That's all I wanted to get out. Let's continue on with Tartaria, Jerry. Now, can you give us your favourite evidences? Let's perhaps go to one of your favourite videos and example, and let's just thrash it out a bit. Hey.
As far as it's multiple. I mean, you have to put it together. It's like it's just from looking at many thousands of buildings, and when you like the best evidence would be where you have these where it's a lot like the best evidence is look at the video called excellent evidence of damage to this building. That's a good one. What you see in this particular case, and it's so excellent piece of evidence, is because most of the building is still what it was, a building. So it was a building, not a rocky mountain, and they carved it out of a mountain. Again, when they say they carved this idea of carving that was carved out of one piece of rock, that's nuts. There's no evidence at all. When they say that's total assumption, man, that's ridiculous. When I look at it, it's all they're just using concrete molds with all these designs. Big deal. And you can pour it in. It conforms to any design you want. You got the mold now. You put it over the old brick. It reinforces it as well and upgrades and updates the look. Bam, you're done. So, I mean, you know what I'm saying? What was I saying? God, I variated. I was going to say something else. God, I deviated.
Not a problem. So, do you agree that titans and entities are also in part of this as well? Because I'm seeing both. I can clearly see evidence for both, especially now that I've been in America and I've seen a lot of these mountain ranges and things that...
Yeah, we call it pareidolia. I'm just kidding. No, you see, it's because you're a genius and you're going to see patterns in the way some of these buildings look a lot like, these titans and whatever you want to believe. Again, in my view... when I look back at every single one, bar none, tree stump, titan, it's all buildings, in my view. That's where I'm at. And when I look at them, when somebody shows me a picture of a titan, that's all I see all the time now, is I can clearly see, it's the building, man. It's melted in the shape of a titan. Look up pareidolia. Geniuses have it, but it doesn't mean it was alive walking around. It's just in the shape. You ever heard of statues? You create things and you put them in shape of things. You know what I mean? It's the idea of the statues. So yeah, in my view, I thought they were titans and tree stumps. Again, I looked at everyone, bar none. They're all buildings, bar none. And I'm not trying to argue with you, agree to disagree. But one day you'll see, again, there was no titans and turned to stone like that. It just, if they were around, you can see these buildings where some of them, you had to be a titan, these doorways. When I consider 25 feet a titan, you know what I'm saying? That's like a titan, okay? That's big enough for me to be calling you a titan. And you can see clearly these hallways, these doorways, these windows in a lot of these buildings, especially in the Chicago area, that giant area back in the day, all built for giants, clearly. Or even titans, you would call them, if you wanted to call them titans, you could, because these things aren't giants. These are ridiculously big beings that could kick you like a football as far as they want. You would imagine if they, but I don't see how anything could have turned to stone at all because of the heat from this event would clearly vaporize any biological life forms when it's melting brick like the way it does. Yeah. Anything, you get pockets of survival, obviously. That's I show these buildings, you know, let me show you that best evidence picture again, is what happens in this building. You can see it's a building still, but from the bottom, the heat's coming up. What's going on is you can see, wow, what's going on with this building? The heat's coming up from the bottom, just like the History Channel agrees with me on all this. Okay, by the way, and I never watched any of that. I came to all this on my own independent conclusion, separate from them. When I saw that, I'm like, bam, I told you. So the heat starts, the heat is making this, like this red brick building, the heat is like expanding these bricks, right? Then it starts melting them together, and it starts bubbling in it, and it starts expanding and marshmallowing. And then what it does is, the next thing you know, it looks like a Rocky Mountain. That everywhere you go, it looks with that damage there, everywhere you look looks just like that damage that happened to the bottom of that building. Go watch the video, Excellent Evidence of Damage to This Building here. And you'll see it coming up from the bottom, boom, bubbling up, messed up the building, clearly still a building, clearly damaged, but clearly the damage it did looks like a Rocky Mountain now. That's how your Rocky Mountains are formed, in my view. Again, you're on a flat dielectric plane of inertia. There were no mountains. There was nothing unless there was like a big tidal flood. And what I see is big, huge mountains of muds mixed in with melted buildings, man. Like there were, it's a lot of mud or flood. I mean, it's a lot of damage, man. It's a lot of damage. Everywhere I look on this earth, it's all messed up, melted building. It's like a war zone. I don't know how anybody can look at it. It's like everywhere it's scarred, blasted, messed up. I mean, it's nuts when you look at it. There's big holes in land of all over. There's these huge holes where the land's been blown apart, blasted, and then these big holes where, boom, melted building is just flying about. And it's and there's evidence of all these. The best ones I call them pockets of survival, because you clearly see what the building looked like before. There's, like I said, the best evidence are these where you know for a fact this is a building getting damaged. And again, downtown San Francisco, I did a video of these pictures of, what do you see? Flat dab downtown. It's nothing but buildings everywhere. There's nothing but buildings, not even trees. It's nothing but red brick buildings. And next thing you know, all of a sudden downtown, what do you see? From the bottom of this building, it's bubbling and expanding, marshmallowing out, forming a rock curtain, and it's forming into a huge piece of a rock. Why? What did that? What can do that? What did that? It's flat dab downtown. Did they carve that out of a Rocky Mountain? No. You're seeing the heat got applied to it, and it was created by that heat. Whatever did that heat. You'll see it. It's all there in the evidence. All my subscribers see it too. That's why I have subscribers, because they get it too. Otherwise, all of a sudden, when I started doing all these videos on this, my subs have started flying through the roof, because it's hitting the truth. It's resonating. Again, I'm not the only one. Believe me, I'm more like the last guy coming up with this idea. Everybody before me has come along with this idea that there was a highly advanced, listen to the History Channel, that there was a highly advanced lost civilization. Bam, it's the Tartarian Empire. Okay, they were very advanced. It was clear. It's everywhere. You can see it. And then something happened to it. What was I going to say? God, it's like, yeah, all of them agree with me completely on this History Channel thing. I'm not the first one coming along talking about the Grand Canyon has mummies in it, and that it has pyramids, and it looks like Egyptian, or what did he call it? It looks Oriental, to be, and I'm quoting there. It looks Oriental. So again, they're indoctrinated. They're stuck on this idea of this. Oh, Columbus had to come over here and discover us. Again, that indoctrination blasted their heads apart with this concept. So they don't understand that everything was one. There was no separation. There was no Christopher coming over here to New World. It's all was one world. No separation. And damn, what was I going to say? And then, so you'll see these buildings, and the best ones are where you know it's a building, and at the bottom, like downtown, you'll see this swelling, bubbling, and it forms this huge, like, in different cases. In one case, it just like looks like a huge boulder that it swelled up so bad. And then what happened is again, when, say, the lack of heat from the sun being malfunctioned, now it's the moon, all of a sudden that dripping, expanding, marshmallowing, bubbling, it's frozen like that. All that is now frozen, hard as a rock, solidified or densified, whatever you want to call it. And, damn, I was going to say so. I forgot my train of thought. Man, I hate that. I was really going to say something good. Damn.
That's okay. So what about these big giants as well that are found all around the place, like the Smithsonian? You mentioned that when they came over to America, they just destroyed all these things and supposedly discovered all these.
Those are Tartarians.
Yeah.
They're just Tartarians.
There you go. Yeah. And so...
Again, it's real simple. Look, again, all this stuff they made up, all this crazy bat crap, all this crazy stuff, all this history that's made up, it's all made up. It's all to fill in, to confuse, to obfuscate. None of it happened. Again, it's none of it, all that history they give you, none of it happened. Again, with their ideas of the Egyptians and the Incas and all this crazy, it's all nonsense. None of it happened. The only thing that happened is there was very well-established, highly advanced society. Somehow, maybe they were naive. Somehow... There are a lot of events. I mean, a lot of damage everywhere. Something happened, and now again they call themselves the New World Order. You know, I don't know. Oh God, it's just when I think about the amount of buildings that I see that is damaged, like it's like mind-boggling. Like that one day, man, I almost couldn't do the video, man. I mean, like it was starting to heart-wrench me. Like the amount of beings that got taken out of this event. There's so many buildings, like when they were worried about overpopulation. When you see the amount of buildings and the size of these things, and they're everywhere, like you see, like there wasn't billions, man. There was at least trillions of beings melted or vaporized, blasted out of thin air or whatever. Maybe, I don't know how it could be. It's more events. It could be several events, because clearly after they did the melting, they flooded the place. Again, all these buildings are hidden on the bottom of the floor, ocean floors. You can't see that they look like a computer board, circuit board grid, that they're all melted buildings. They hit it with the water or something. Again, water could be a result. A flood could clearly be a result from a lot of explosions, a melting event of this moon event, sun event. That makes absolute perfect sense that there was a flood after a major melting event. You would get a lot of moisture that would rise, a lot of hot air rising, tons and tons of almost all moisture that existed would have been pushed up to the upper dome area, and then it would have cooled and condensed and flooded or rained for a long time. Maybe that contributed to some of the ocean water of burying and hiding these buildings.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, with the mud flood situation, how do you think?
Floods.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry. I'm excited.
Yep. No, that's good, man. It's Mercury retrograde. That's why you keep forgetting as well.
Go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say.
That's one of the things with Mercury retrograding. Communication is either, rushy or pushy, or it's too slow, or you keep forgetting. So don't worry, man. Don't be too hard on yourself.
All right.
Yeah. So the mud floods, right? So I tend to think that they could have, the easiest way to destroy a civilization would be dust storms with poison, like a miasma in the dust.
You are creative. Damn, that's good.
Yeah, well, see, like a mud flood, it would do a lot of damage because buildings will fall over. But with dust storms, like in the deserts can be transformed with one storm. So they could.
What's causing the mud flood, in your view? What do you mean?
Technology to.
Liquefaction.
Liquefaction.
Okay. When you put a vibration out, it turns states of solid into states of liquid matter.
Yes.
From states of solid into states of liquid. And again, some of the, I was saying initially that it looked like, some of the mud, it looks like they were caused by tsunamis or whatnot. But again, when I look down at it now with these new eyes, after a lot of meditation and looking at everything for a long time, I thought it was like what I was looking at. I thought it was mud when it's melted buildings, not mud. It's a lot of melted buildings. So that's what I see now. I see what I thought was a mud flood. It's all melted buildings went down. And I lived on these mountains. And again, you see this building that's been melted to nothing, and then a lot of mud. And again, what I saw in these mud mountains from like maybe some type of mud flood, maybe there were some oceans perhaps overflowed something from this event. Maybe something bogged the water around a little bit, because when you clearly look at the Great Lakes, that just looks like something came in from over there and just filled it with water from that direction. But I mean, I don't. It's just full assumptions. But I mean, I don't know. Like this weapon with the mud, I think the mud flood is an after the melting thing. It's to even make it worse if it's from liquefaction, a weapon. I was considering it more from the event, and the oceans are like, really disrupted, and you're getting your extra water flowing around. Again, they have maps of California being an island. Do we trust anything? It's still New World Order map because it's not Tatarian. Anything with a mountain on it is New World Order, because the mountains didn't really exist like they do now. Those mountains are all melted buildings. It's like a circuit board grid. You have to understand, very well established. There's nothing going to be down and interfering with this grid but buildings. Some areas are like the churches, or there weren't churches. They call them that now to keep you out of the technology. But those were all power stations. When you would go in there, they could play an organ, which put out healing frequencies that healed, guess what? Your organs. So, and that's all in my view. That's what they were for. They were healing stations or power stations. You go in up there and re-energize your Tatarian bodies, if you will, in these power stations with the organs that played the vibration, the healing sounds that healed your light body, your dense light. Again, this place is nothing more than a hologram for souls. Again, it's all it is. They're spirits, souls, whatever you want to call it. It's for both.
Yep.
So at this stage, go ahead.
No, you finish off.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at this, what was I going to say? At this stage, it's, again, all that has been transformed. It was a grid. It was a very palpable grid. I believe this this etheric grid, or I mean, the power grid that they had set up with all the buildings and the power stations and all this stuff, we're dense light. We're just made out of light. It's very dense now. I believe it wasn't quite as dense with maybe if there was two suns or a higher density or frequency, because of this field was taken out. They really talk about it, a really powerful, palpable, etheric field that, it's really energized. And it's just, maybe the bodies weren't as dense back then as well, or anything perhaps. And perhaps we could, it seemed like there was a lot more interaction between realms or with other beings, and that's been cut off as well. It feels like that as well. It seems like they were, not us. The Tatarians seem like when you look at some of these statues, when you just look at some of the stuff, you get a feel that they were interacting with other worlds or beings in other worlds as well, maybe getting some input and so forth and all this other stuff. You get that feel a lot. You get this feel that they were really mixed too. Like it wasn't a big deal if some dude was walking around with a horse head and a human body. It wasn't a big deal. Or a human head on a griffin or lion body or whatever the heck. It just wasn't a big thing. You're a being, you're a spirit, you're in a vessel. It's all that mattered to experience the physical world. It's the only way. You have to grow to be here. You can't just come up in here through a portal unless you have the exact frequency matching bodies. I guess you could enough for a little bit, maybe. I don't know, but sure, yeah. But you have to match again when you have to recharge every night. When you go, if you don't get sleep, again, of course, breath, which is what we call spirit, that's the fastest thing you die from. You don't get breath. What's the fastest thing you die from? If you don't breathe, a couple minutes, whatever it is. If you don't get breath or spirit, you're going to die fast. The other thing is sleep. Why? You have to sleep. If you don't, you'll go crazy. Your body has to go recharge etherically. Okay, your light body, all this stuff for you to come back into your meat vessel. You have to be charged. You have to sleep. If you don't, you go crazy. You have to go recharge something. Something's getting if you don't recharge it, it seems like if you don't sleep or something, go out of body, because you go out of body when you sleep. People don't realize it or remember it. That's been manipulated, I believe. They used to. When you charge one body, you're going in another body and experiencing another world, just like you would a car, the electric car. Charge it, go up and use another. I believe they were sharing. They never sleep like that. Go in another body, experience life like that. Perhaps totally different way of life, in my view, is how they might have lived.
Nice.
I gotta take a break.
Hey, while you're doing that, I keep thinking of Pompeii and Herculaneum. I used to study that a lot when I was a young boy.
Absolutely.
Now that is one, because they're trying to tell you that all happened 2,000 years ago. It could be much more recent, right?
Absolutely, dude. Again, now here's what I've learned. Again, when they're really pushing something like billions and billions years old, what I find is what I always like to practice, even if it doesn't work, is just take the inverted exact opposite. That what if it's like really close within 200 years? You know what I mean, or 500 years, or 1,000. You know what I mean? What if it's the opposite of billions and billions of years? It's inverted. They always want to do that. They always like they want you looking up at aliens. If there's, if anybody, they can't come from up there. They would have to come from below. So again, they're always doing this misdirection, like inverting stuff. Like they're saying it's one thing when it's usually the opposite or inverted. So yeah, you always got to do that. Whatever they're saying, if they're pushing a long time, it's probably yesterday. Just to be careful. It's good to just think about just in case they're trying to trick us like that. Right?
That's right. Always have a spare theory up your sleeve. I used to read.
Beautiful.
I always used to read Immanuel Velikovsky, and he addressed this historical situation as well that has so many discrepancies. But he used to compare the Egyptian histories with the Hebrew histories, and he found 600 years of discrepancy between the two and 600 missing years, but it's more than that. I mean, he didn't probably. I read that particular work of his where he did that because I was right into biblical history and trying to make sense of it. I've always wanted to understand it, and in my own way or in the way that it was taught, and so that's where. That man, he was a colleague of Einstein, but he was ostracized for all of his very out there theories, world in collisions, ages in chaos, Oedipus being Moses, or Akhenaten and Moses. And so, I learned a lot from him in the 80s when I was studying him, Velikovsky. But the thing is, it's absolutely incredible that we just have really no idea, and so when I'm doing my presentations and I'm quoting, AD and BCE, I'm only doing that as like a tentative sort of a temporary kind of framework so that we can just, project back.
You have to.
You do, but really, none of it's real, none of it.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows?
Yeah, you just have to use that framework. It's just like you have to use their model.
Like you say, a lot of that stuff is probably, all the smart stuff is probably just Chitarian leftover knowledge. That's what it is. That was their knowledge when they knew what was going on. That's why you're able to do what you do.
Yep, that's right. So I only just use that for reference work and just to put a bit of perspective in things like, I'll probably use the atomic model, which Walter Russell debunked in Atomic Suicide, but I will use the neutron, proton, and electron.
I like Walter Russell. I like him.
And
because you like him. I like Walter Russell because you like him, and I like what he says, his quotes.
Oh, for sure. Legendary human being, great unraveler of truth. Although he did still have a few wrong things, like he thought that the Earth was spinning and orbiting around the Earth.
No, I didn't know that. No, he's a retard. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. No, yeah, absolutely, I didn't know that. But yeah, whatever. It takes all kinds. Whatever. Maybe he was, but whatever. We all thought it was that way for a while. It's a pretty good trick, huh?
Very good trick. Even the geniuses have fallen for it. Giordano Bruno as well. Some of these great guys, they have their very disappointing sides, so I don't...
But you can't judge them for that. I mean, again, everybody is coming in with their with good pieces of the puzzle. We can't all see the whole picture.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, we just have to continue along and research and wait for everything to... Well, not wait, but... eventually things will fall into place. The truth will be revealed. It's a promise that all Scripture is made, because how it works is that we become consciously aware of all things. All the knowledge will come together. Everything will be revealed. All lies will be exposed. The truth will be naked and apparent to all. This is the promise of all Scripture. So it's a beautiful time we live in. We're absolutely in the best time. Jerry, it's great to be alive.
It's like when you turn on a light in a dark, dark, dark room, and all of a sudden, all this information from the light is revealed.
Yep, I am the light of the world. So that's basically what the sun says, the Son of God in the sky, because it illuminates the world, and it's through its active light, magnetic light, that it pours upon us that we are blessed. Photosynthesis occurs, chlorophyll, vitality. We are alive by grace of the Son of God, if you want to put it that way.
Sure.
Because that's all it is. That's all it is. The Bible's a story about the sun and the beautiful sun in the sky and its conscious activity over us, because it's not an unconscious object. Everything is conscious. It's foolish to think only humans are conscious. Everything is, all atoms.
That is very foolish. Plus, this materialistic view is very foolish too, to discount the etheric world. It's ridiculous. But there's three things that you can't hide forever: the sun, the moon, and the truth.
Yeah, love it. How about these guys who get on YouTube? They've got big followings, and every second sentence they say is "there is no truth."
Wow. That sounds really. You sound real wise there. Not.
My expression.
That's the opposite of wisdom, to say something so dumb.
Yeah, I would say there is only truth. That's how I see it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's again, when they're saying that, I don't get it. Yeah, they went full retard on that one. Again, there's only truth. You gotta. I mean, we are the truth. We are truth.
And the word atom, which everything is atomic, all is atom, means truth in Greek. Etimos or atimos, which is atom, atomic, means truth. So if all is atom, that means all is truth.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, like I said, I've been listening to you for years, 4 years. Super grateful. I'm breaking down words all the time etymologically now, thanks to you. Understanding all these root meanings and intentions and words now, all thanks to you. All those videos. I mean, I've watched. I mean, until when I was homeless there for a while, I watched all your videos, every single one. Every single one. I went back, watched every single one of your videos. There wasn't a single one that I did not watch, except when I was homeless and stuff.
Ha! There you go.
I've seen every single one of your old, every one that I could get my hands on.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they're all on my channel too, by the way, folks.
Back
Mr.
in the day.
Astrology, best truther channel out there, bar none, if I have to say so myself.
I agree.
I just have to.
Go to Subphotonic as well, YouTube channel Subphotonic.
Yeah, for sure.
Subscribe. Go subscribe. They bury me. I'm super censored.
Yep.
Super censored. Yeah, they bury me. I mean, my subscribers, I don't. That's all they do is complain about. Dude, I can't find you.
Yep. Same with me. I'm just lucky that I've got enough numbers for it to get around. I remember
when you had less than 10,000.
Oh, wow. So that was
I remember that. Yeah. Now you got, 141,000 now?
Exactly.
I'm over 10,000. I'm at 10,005 now. And they kept me under 10 for 3 years, man. I was at 9,500 subs for 3 years. And I finally broke that thing. I guess they couldn't stop this new info here that I'm getting a lot of new subs on this great, Tatarian, melted buildings, all of it, Lost Civilization, a lot of new subs now. So I expect to see a huge increase in my subscriptions from this information if it's not buried too much. But they really do a good job of burying me. I mean, I only get a couple thousand views a video, or, it should be getting way more of this information, especially, all of it. And if you want to go out and learn how to teach Flat Earth, watch all my Flat Earth Truth Alerts. You can go out and teach it after that.
Absolutely, Jerry. Hats off to you, man. Like, you've been homeless, you've been struggling in many ways, and yet you've always been there putting truth out. Same with me. I've been tortured for 10 years, just absolutely tortured with sleep deprivation, itching, who knows what it is. I've gone to all the experts all around the world. They're still clueless as to why I'm itching and why this is going on. But I put out all my 700 videos on YouTube in the meantime, so hats off to you, man. I want to give you credit because your material is absolutely bulletproof, wonderful research, the way you put it together and present it with all the graphics and everything like that. I marvel at how you did that because I can remember you're struggling in every way, so congratulations, man, and now
that means a lot coming from you, brother.
Yep, it's good to be in the same truth harmony.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. So in the last 10 minutes, brother, I'll let you have whatever else you want to sum up. Just collect your thoughts together and give the listeners a little bit of an extra few juicy bits that you've done. All your information and sure. What I would like them to do is I put a lot of good, like you said, I put a lot of really good pictures together. Again, if anything, just watch them to look at the buildings. I mean, if bare minimum, look at my videos to look at all these beautiful buildings around the world. That's the playlist that's named The Great Tartary Empire. But if you want to just, you don't even have to look at just to see these incredible buildings. I have a phenomenal amount of pictures of these incredible architecture all over the world. Then if you want to go to the playlist and see the damage, the melting, what happened, go to the playlist called Melted Buildings, Lost Highly Advanced Tatarian Civilization. Check that one out and start going through that. If not for anything, to look at the pictures of these buildings alone. If for nothing else, look at all these incredible
pictures of buildings that I put together all over the world. Incredible pictures, incredible buildings all over the world. You wouldn't believe these pictures. If anything, just go look for the pictures. Incredible. You'll learn just put it on mute if you don't want to hear me. Shut me up. Shut up. Look at for the pictures alone of these incredible structures and what happened to them alone. It'll blow your mind. That's all I can say. Yeah. I can't stress it enough is to if you could go and watch these videos in the melted area, and when you just see all these incredible structures, the damaging, it's kind of heart-wrenching when you see that. I mean, you're not talking about billions of beings, you're talking about trillions, maybe quadrillions of beings, no problem, not overpopulated at all. Again, if beings are not put at each other's throat, you can have a lot of beings living up together if they're all in this love frequency environment compared to, say, this malfunction frequency environment that we're in. It's a lot harder to divide and conquer, in my view, back then, until they took that grid down, that field down. Then you could divide and conquer these them easy,
Yep. By the way, how do you get those pictures? Do you go to any specific sites or just Google image it?
No, okay. Sure, I'll tell you my secret. It's not a secret. My subscribers know what I do. I tell them. What I do is, they see what I do. What I do is, like, there's a couple YouTube channels out there, obviously. Amazing Planet, it's a plane, but whatever, they added a T. But the YouTube channel, like Amazing Planet or something like that, his channel, I'll go up on his videos or playlists. I'll roll up on his videos, and because he's got pictures already for you all over the world of playlists, all over the world of these incredible structures. So you just roll up on that, and then I watch the videos and screenshot the really important ones I want to talk about, that I want to put in the video and talk about and explain, and what I think's going on and what's happening. And people see what I'm talking about. I'm absolutely explaining everything exactly like the History Channel, until they went full retard with, it's high tech, they must be doing it on purpose, building that wall with the blocks. No, that's not intentional. If it was, then the structure behind it wouldn't be blasted into tiny pieces. Anyway.
Gotcha. Good point. So just one more thought. When I think of megaliths, I think of the Colosseum. What do you reckon happened there? Did the Goths come down and vandalize it and take the stones to build other buildings? That's a pretty decent devastation of a beautiful monument.
What you see there is whatever this event, you're seeing a building blasted apart into pieces. Again, what? There's only a few things that I know that can take matter and blow it into pieces. Explosions, right? Mm-hmm. It got blown up to pieces. The only way to explain, when you see pieces everywhere, buildings like the deserts, the only way to explain anything matter being blown to part in that tiny pieces is the amount, that explosion is mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling, that energy. It blows me out. You can't conceive the amount of energy to turn buildings into fine grains of dust like that. You can't believe the power that would have taken. You can't even imagine it. It's mind-boggling that the explosion that would have taken to do that. It's inconceivable.
For sure. So pulse weapons, maybe some kind of advanced technology.
I'm not going to assume, but yeah, I mean, clearly, like I get a lot of, here's what I get. Plasma. It's a plasma event, but from where? The other one is, sun to moon event, or moon to sun event. The other one was a direct energy weapon war. The other one is a mutually assured destruction nuclear war. If they had, I don't buy into atoms smashing together and exploding, but whatever, maybe they had a lot of, things that may explode. And then the other one was, it's a grid, so they short-circuited the grid to the moon, or no, they didn't say that. I came up with that. Maybe it was to the moon, and it all short-circuited it and did that to the moon. Or maybe it has to do with that crack in the dome. Maybe that arch to the moon or something. You just don't know. It's just a lot of crazy. It's not crazy because we're just trying to figure it out, but it's all assumptions until we get more evidence.
Gotcha. Let's not make an ass out of you and I, or you and me.
And me, yeah, and you and me, exactly. You cannot assume, and that's what mainstream science does all the time. It's frustrating. It's so annoying. They're nuts, man. Oh, billion years ago, this caveman squatted down and took a big dump like they were there. It's ridiculous. You can't know. You can't know that. You can't know anything. They don't know what happened yesterday or 5 minutes ago, but they know everything about 20 billion years ago in detail. In detail.
Yep. All
bizarre.
Carbon-14 testing.
What?
What do they call it? Carbon-14.
Carbon dating. It's nuts. It doesn't work. It's debunked. It's nonsense. It's nuttier than squirrel turds.
Yeah. Sad.
These are the same people that bring you dinosaurs, gravity, big bang. You're nothing. You came from an ape with zero proof, by the way. There is no proof of that at all. It's ridiculous.
What was the name of that guy who recently died? He was a real good mouthpiece for the pseudoscience. Carl something. What was his name?
Carl Sagan. Of course. I used to love that guy. Love that guy.
There's a video that came out a couple of years ago. And
he went full retard when I woke up. I'm sorry. Go ahead. That video came out.
Yeah, and they quoted him every time he said billions. And
that video was fantastic.
It's his favorite word. Billions.
I love that video.
Light years and billions of years and billions and trillions. And
they love my videos where I do that in the NASA Truth Alerts. I rag Carl Sagan, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Brian Neil Lie, the science guy, the science lie, Bill Nye the Science Lie or Try, and and I did tons of those videos. Those were my subscribers. To them, those are my favorite ones when I was doing the NASA's, making fun of them. When Michio Kaku is like billions as well, like Carl Sagan as well. He's the same thing. He's like, y'all are nothing. You're nobody. You're nothing. And then all these billions of billions. And then even the new guy, what's his name? The new pseudo.
Elon Musk.
Yeah, but the other guy, he's like, billions. He started going with the billions too. Brian Cox or something Cox maybe.
Yeah, that's him.
Is that it, Brian Cox? Yeah, that guy's a total pseudo retard too. It's ridiculous. And then Elon Musk, it has to be real because it looks so fake. Dude, this guy, I don't even know if he wants to be doing this, dude, the way he's so sarcastic about this stuff. It's like almost. It's funny. I don't know. I get that vibe like, you guys, this is such a crock. It's like I feel that from him. I don't know, but I mean, but obviously he's not on he's on their side, but it's just like, it's like he's kind of making fun of it a little bit when I get that feeling that it's so real. It's so fake looking. It has to be real because our CGI is way more clear than that. I mean, if it was our CGI, it would be crystal.
Yep. I agree.
I'm rambling.
No, that's cool. All right, Jerry, look, it's been wonderful sharing with you, brother. We're at the end of the 2 hours, and I think that we've thrashed the beautiful subject of all the historical lies, probably superficially, really. I mean, there's a lot more that can be said. I always feel like that when I've only got an hour to express myself or 2 hours to do a presentation. For every bit of data that I give, I have to leave out 100 bits. So I just hope the listeners got a bit out of that, and they can go to your channel. That's where all the goodies are, the photos. I mean, as you said, you can put it on mute and just look at the photos and you'll be delighted. Better than a Hollywood movie. Trust me, rest assured. I just love seeing those wonderful photos you dig up, proving conclusively time and time again your arguments and showing lots of evidence And that's the way to do it. You know, if you can present it conclusively, comprehensively, and exhaustively, and it works, then it works. So it just dismantles the lies just by presenting the evidences. So once again, thanks, Jerry. Give us your contact details, and we'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Jerry DeCamp. My YouTube channel is Subphotonic, Subphotonic. You can go there, and I have my email all over, almost in every video automatically, so you can send me pictures and so forth that way. Just go to my YouTube channel, Subphotonic. Thank you for having me on the show, everybody. Much love. I appreciate you so much for that. Thank you.
Excellent. And thank you so much for your devotion to truth and all the hard work you've done, brother. I just want to express my gratitude. So once again, listeners, we really appreciate you and your support, and the station does as well, sincerely. So please don't take them for granted, and share your love and energy, and in any way you can to support the station. Please go ahead and express that, because it will come back to you in return, in that you will have always a place where there's truth, information, knowledge that will set you free. So thank you very much. Now, I wish I remembered who I had for next week, but he's going to be a really, really good, big, powerful truther as well. So stay tuned, and we'll be back on the same channel next week with more truth and more beautiful guests. Thank you once again, People for People listeners. Take care until next time. Bye-bye.